What's up guys? In this video, we're talking about the 3 nutrition rules that actually move the needle. Most guys get these wrong. I've been a men's nutrition coach for the last 10 years. I'm gonna share the concepts that have helped people build muscle, burn fat, and get to their ideal body weight with more energy and without being overly restrictive. Rule number 1, protein is a daily target, not just a meal choice. So many people just check the box on their meals and say, oh, it has protein. I even see breakfast cereals advertising protein. It's not enough, it's low protein. You need to focus on total daily protein intake. It is one of the biggest levers you can pull for more fat loss, more lean muscle, more satiety throughout the day, and better energy levels. It does this because protein is going to be a major indicator of keeping your blood sugar stable throughout the day, and that means a better metabolism, better mood, and so much more. So total daily protein is what you need to get right. My recommendation to you is to go with 1 gram per pound of ideal body weight. Think about your fighting weight, that weight that you know you felt your best, you looked your best, you fit in the clothes that you wanted. What was that weight that you want to get back to or get down to? Eat that much protein every day. So if it was 150 pounds, then you're looking at 150 grams of protein per day. And if you came up with your ideal protein intake for the day, the next step is going to be to divide it by the number of meals you're having and do so evenly. I see so many people focusing on these really small meals and they're just grazing throughout the day, eating every 2 hours, eating an hour after they just ate a meal. And that's wrong for protein synthesis. Protein synthesis is this fancy word for building muscle and burning fat. But there's some rules to the game here in order to build the most amount of muscle, burn the most amount of fat, and do so efficiently. And I can tell you, it is not grazing. It is not eating small meals all day long. One of the tools that I want to share with you that makes your protein intake very easy is what I call the protein hierarchy. And if you follow these 4 rules, it makes your protein intake easy. It takes away the confusion. So number 1 in the protein hierarchy is hit your total daily protein intake. Total daily intake matters most. It even matters more than the amount you have in each meal. That's rule number 1. 1 gram per pound of ideal body weight. Rule number 2, have at least 30 grams of protein in every meal of the day. This is the amount of protein it takes to flip that switch that tells your body, build muscle, burn fat. This is the minimum amount of protein that you need at a meal in order to stay feeling full, because it flips that switch in the brain that says, hey, we're satisfied, we have protein, and you can cruise without feeling hungry. So you need to focus on rule number 1, hit rule number 2, minimum of 30 grams protein per meal. Rule number 3, space your doses 3 to 5 hours apart or more. When you have ample protein in a meal, you ramp up that protein synthesis and you have a meal that is turning on muscle building, you're burning fat, it's ample protein, ample amino acids in order to do this with at least 30 grams. Now you want to let that protein synthesis rise, and then you want to let it come back down to baseline. That process takes 3 to 5 hours to accomplish. And then you eat another meal with ample protein, it increases that protein synthesis maximally again, and then you can let it come back down to baseline. If you're constantly eating low-grade doses of protein, small doses, less than 30 grams, and you're doing it frequently throughout the day, you're not ever maximizing protein synthesis, and you're not ever letting it come back down to baseline. So this rule is crucial for that. 3 to 5 hours spacing between your protein doses. My 4th rule of the protein hierarchy is make your morning dose count. There's some longevity studies on this. There's some reasons why it would set your blood sugar up for more success all day long. You need to make the first time you eat protein, let's call it breakfast, doesn't matter if you eat it at 8 a.m. or 10 a.m., whatever you want to do, but make your first dose of protein for the day, make sure it's sufficient. We're talking at least 45 grams here. Make it a good dose, quality dose of protein. This does a couple things for you. Number 1, it sets your blood sugar up for more success all day long. This is crucial for your mood, for your energy, for not having cravings throughout the day. Number 2, it gets a solid, ample dose of protein to start to where you're not playing catch up on your protein intake to hit your total 1 gram per pound each day. It's so much easier to get a jump on protein early than it is to try to play catch up later, especially if you're going to be out to dinner or dinner with friends and you have some unknowns in the evening. If you can control that first breakfast dose of protein, it's going to get you a long way towards your daily protein needs. And the other reason to make that morning dose really count is that if you just are in a hurry, get out the door fast, and you only have some little protein bar with like 12 grams of protein in it, you're just going to be chasing more food all day. You're not going to feel satisfied. You're gonna be hungry, and in the morning, you're gonna be thinking, I need more food, I need more food. Probably get hungry 60 to 90 minutes after eating that little dinky protein dose, and it's not gonna serve you. So if you eat an ample dose, you are protecting that first meal time, you're having a great meal one, that's gonna fuel you easily 5 hours all morning long with high quality fuel to get more work done, stay focused, be in the zone, and show up your best. So that's the protein hierarchy. Hit your total daily protein. Eat at least 30 grams of protein per meal. Space your doses 3 to 5 hours apart, and then make sure you make your first dose really count. And the reason why I call protein intake your biggest lever that you can pull on for fat loss and muscle building is that most people just focus on calories. They're so focused on calories, they forget about the makeup of those calories. And when you prioritize protein and you get that right, and you build a diet that's protein focused, you can still have the carbs and fats in there, and you still do need to keep the calories in check 100%. But getting the protein right makes everything else fall into line. Your calories from carbs and fats fall into place. If you're watching a calorie total, your hunger tends to take care of itself by default. There's nothing more satiating than a good dose of protein at a meal. And we often end up eliminating those snacks in between meals as well. You get the protein right, you're literally feel full to where you don't need to snack. And so that's why I say don't focus too much on the total calories and forget about protein. Make sure you get your protein right first, and of course, focus on calories when your goal is fat loss. Rule number 2 is alcohol isn't the problem. Unstructured drinking is. We're going into the holidays here, 2025, it's December, and the reality is so many guys derail their progress with alcohol. And I'm not an anti-alcohol person. This is all about finding goals that are achievable, reasonable, doable long-term, that helps you accomplish what you want with your body composition, but still enjoy life. Be fit and happy, not fit and miserable. And so it's not alcohol that's ruining your progress, it's the context that you're drinking in that does. I see people who have 0 rules around alcohol. 1 drink turns into 5 drinks. They make really bad decisions on the food. They wake up the next day hungover. They're making more bad decisions. They slept poorly, so their stress hormones are high. They have more cravings the next day. Their energy is low. They missed the gym. And so there wasn't any rules to follow and help guide them towards their goals. So if you have a balanced alcohol intake or drinking intake on a fat loss or weight loss program, and you do it with structure, you have manageable damage. And look, do I think alcohol serves our goals for health at all? No. There's no benefits for thinning blood, all that nonsense. There's no benefits anywhere else. It's just a tough burden on the system. Alcohol is a toxin. The body's gonna have to spend a lot of time getting rid of it. And so I don't recommend it, but most people see it as part of their lifestyle, maybe part of their work, maybe part of their social life. And so these are some rules to manage it and have a structure around it that's gonna keep you aligned with losing weight and burning fat, building muscle. Tip number 1 is meal nutrition matters more than the drink choice. When you're drinking, focus on clean foods. A steak and broccoli, some fish and some veggies. The more you eat clean while you're drinking, the less potential you have for fat storage and overeating. This is pretty obvious, but think about it. It's like you do a burger and fries with a drink, or you do a steak and veggies with a drink. Which one is gonna be tighter on the calories, tighter on the intake, and gonna help you stay full, but also make room for calories coming from the drinks? Alcohol is a toxin, and so when it's coming in, your body's gonna shut down those other metabolic processes. It's gonna try to process that alcohol molecule first. So if you're eating a meal that's high in carbohydrates, sending blood sugar and insulin through the roof, and it's got all these extra calories, your body's looking to store food when it's processing alcohol so that it can set that aside and get rid of that alcohol molecule. But the cleaner you eat, more protein, more veggies, things like fiber, that's gonna help you feel full, but also not send you into storage mode. So I wanna encourage you to eat clean while you're drinking if your goal is to lose weight, build more muscle, and feel your best. Tip number 2 is to keep it to 2 drinks or less. There's some solid studies that show after 2 drinks per hour, you really start to sink your testosterone levels, recovery is gonna suffer, and let's face it, after 2 drinks, you start making really bad choices on the food. I see people say, F it, it doesn't matter, and they go snowball. And that momentum just carries into the next day and they snowball again. So we don't want alcohol to kick off a snowball effect. We don't want the drinks we chose to have in order to say, screw it, I'll start again tomorrow, and we totally blow out the evening on our food. And we don't want the drinks we have on Friday night in order to snowball us all weekend long, because I see a lot of people take 2 steps forward Monday through Friday with their food, with their training, with their sleep, and then they have those drinks on the weekend. 4 drinks turns into 5 drinks. Those 5 bourbons, what they do is they snowball the whole weekend. So you took 2 steps forward all week and 1 giant step backwards on the weekends, and it's just so hard to make progress. It's like driving towards your destination, wherever you want to go, but you have the e-brake on and your hand is on the brake. All you got to do is release it, have some guidelines in place, and that is going to keep you cruising and accelerating towards your fat loss and weight loss goals. Tip number 3, limit the sugary mixes and carbohydrate rich add-ins, so things like fruit juice, any kind of sugar mixes. Keep the alcohol clean as well. The more you can do clean spirits with just soda water, things that don't have excess carbohydrates or sugar, that's a given. It's gonna reduce your calories, and it's overall gonna limit that potential for fat storage when you're drinking. And tip number 4, keep your alcohol 2 to 3 hours away from bedtime. Alcohol is a toxin. Your body's gonna have to process that toxin and get it out of the system. This will raise your core temperature before you go to sleep. And in order for us to hit that deep recuperative REM sleep, our body temp has to drop about a half degree. So if we go into sleep with an elevated core temperature from processing alcohol, it's gonna make it so hard to fall into that deep sleep and get the body cold enough at night. We're gonna miss that REM sleep. We're gonna drive sleep quality down. We're gonna wake up the next day not feeling refreshed. Higher cortisol, so our cravings for sugar and carbs are gonna be higher. And we're gonna have these fatigue and energy dips the next day that are gonna make it hard to fight off those cravings with low willpower and high stress. So if you can limit your drinks to 2 per night, if you can have them 2 to 3 hours away from bedtime, if you can eat clean while you're drinking, and if you can limit the sugary mixes and fruit juice add-ins, this is your best option to keep alignment with your goals, but enjoy the social situations where you enjoy alcohol. Because if alcohol destroyed progress, no fit men would exist. Rule number 3, small meals plus snacking equals hunger, not fat loss. We gotta put this one to rest. Small meals don't spike your metabolism. Small meals don't stoke your metabolic fires. The reality is that hunger is not a willpower thing, it's a biology thing. If you are hungry shortly after eating a meal, 1 to 2 hours, and you can't go 4, 5 hours after eating a meal without hunger, it means something in the previous meal was broken. We talked about protein in the first rule. That's the first thing you want to get right. But the reality is, if you're hungry 60 to 90 minutes after eating, something was broken in that first meal. You didn't have enough protein, you didn't include ample fiber, you didn't have some quality carbohydrates in there that can support that fiber, you didn't have some healthy fats in there to delay those hunger feelings long enough. What I see happen with frequent small meals is that it often just spikes your appetite even more. And what you've done when you eat frequent, small, tiny meals is every time we eat a meal, we do get a little blood sugar spike. And if you're eating every 1 to 2 hours after a meal and you've trained this habit, the brain is gonna start to think, oh, we ate a little meal, 1 to 2 hours later, here comes our blood sugar spike. Because as that blood sugar hits your bloodstream, it's gonna hit the brain. The brain is liking that blood sugar spike because that signals calories for survival. We release a little dopamine in the brain and it says, hey, that was great for survival, do that again. We need food in case a famine comes. So your brain is wired to expect that little food intake, that little blood sugar spike 1 to 2 hours after eating. So you've just trained this craving to eat and then crave a little bit more food. And those snacks add up so much throughout the day. They're usually carb-rich snacks. That's what I see the most. They're salty, sweet, or fat. You know, they pack up the calories. They add up the calories at the end of the day. Makes it so hard to lose weight or burn body fat. So when you're constantly snacking, you get this low-grade satiety effect that doesn't keep you satisfied long enough. You're constantly increasing blood sugar throughout the day. So your blood sugar or your insulin levels never come down to baseline. They never come down to baseline because they're constantly elevated from all this food intake. And what happens is you have energy dips. It's going up, it's coming down. You're on the energy blood sugar roller coaster. You have these energy dips and mood swings. Feeling happy, like you have a little sugar rush, and then you crash. You want to nap like a toddler after eating too much sugar. And what's worse is you're constantly thinking about food. You're like, oh, what are my snacks? What am I going to eat next in an hour? Oh, what do I have on hand? Oh, should I go through this restaurant? Oh, should I go through this grocery store? Oh, I'm getting gas. Should I go get a snack? Snacking is the enemy because we burn a lot of body fat in between meals. When you eat a breakfast at 8 a.m. and you go till 1 p.m. until you eat again, there's a lot of fat burning that's occurring between that 8 and 1 p.m. time frame. If you're constantly elevating blood sugar, if you're constantly having food coming in the system in low-grade amounts, you're not gonna have that fat burning in between meals. So if you're restricting yourself from eating meals, I wanna say that structure is gonna beat restriction. Structuring your meals correctly is gonna eliminate that need for snacking. And then if you can finally prioritize and focus on meals throughout the day, where you eat a great meal, and then you coast for 3 to 5 hours or more, eat another great meal, and you coast for 3 to 5 hours or more, and eat another meal, that is how you are gonna tap into more fat burning. It's gonna have you more focused and fueled in between those meals, and it is going to help you reduce your total intake for the day. What I find is that 3 to 4 meals for most guys works really well. And if you're building these meals correctly, with the right amount of protein, the right amount of healthy fats, including some fiber and greens and veggies, and you're including those smart quality carbohydrates like sweet potatoes, berries, other types of fruit, then you're gonna easily be able to eat a meal, not feel too overstuffed or uncomfortable, and you're gonna be able to cruise 3 to 5 hours or more without even thinking about food, and you're gonna do it on default. So you can eliminate snacks, just throw that concept out the window. It is a made up construct. This whole snacking industry, the snacking aisles in the grocery store, we don't need to snack, we need to eat meals. And one more thing I want to share with you about how this plays out is that people don't build their meals correctly throughout the day, and if you're constantly snacking, what I see is they get home at night, maybe they've even gone to the gym and they get home in the evening and they just overeat like crazy. They eat this huge meal because they haven't ever really satisfied their nutrient needs throughout the day. They haven't met that nutrient threshold where their body feels like it has enough magnesium and vitamins to support itself. They haven't met those protein needs. They haven't hit the protein threshold where your brain says, hey, we're good. We got enough protein to shut off hunger. And so they come home from these little small meals throughout the day and these crazy elevated blood sugar all day long, and they overeat. They eat too much food at night. This is when willpower is low, decision fatigue is at an all-time high, so it's even harder to turn down some of those things that we know we shouldn't eat. It's even harder to control our portions. So if you're always hungry at night, it typically means your daytime structure is broken. Fix that, and then you can have a better chance of fixing your nighttime eating. When you get your protein structure right, appetite takes care of itself. If you start building meals with the right amount of protein, you can skip the snacking altogether. And if you structure your alcohol, you can start to create some consistency throughout your weeks to where you're always moving forward and you're not taking that giant leap backwards on the weekends. The reality is consistency is results. Hit your total daily protein. Did I hit my protein intake? Think about your day. Did I eliminate unnecessary snacking? Did I focus on building quality meals? If I was hungry shortly after eating, what was broken in the previous meal? Did I stick to the commitments I made to myself on my alcohol? I'm gonna give you one more framework: decide, commit, act. When you walk into any social situation, you haven't had a plan in place and there's alcohol being served. You wanna enjoy a drink with your colleagues, with your family, whatever it may be. A simple framework you can use in the moment, instead of being reactionary, instead of just walking in and saying, I'll see how it goes, I want you to use the decide, commit, and act framework. So you see the drinks, you decide, how many drinks am I gonna have tonight? What am I gonna be drinking? Make that commitment to yourself. 2 drinks, no sugary mixes. The third part of this, act. Act on the commitment you made to yourself. Because the reality is this whole process of achieving your health goals is about keeping the commitments you make to yourself. When we do that, we build trust, we build confidence in ourselves, and that is the positive momentum that's gonna snowball you into long-term, sustainable results with behavior change. And that is what I want for you. Thanks for watching this video today. If you loved it, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.